Hey guys, I'll be going over the new build in this video. Uh, Essentially this is it. You have the only difference between this and normal Void Weaver is that you have Invoked Nightmare, and then instead of going Insidious Ire and Cthulhu, you go on this left tree. Um, the number one Shadow Priest at the moment has been running this build basically every single keystone. And at first it was very strange because it's like, why would you get rid of Insidious Ire? And then going over the sims and going over the logic, it makes a ton of sense now. So I'll be going over it. So let's get back to it. So why invoked Nightmare and Keys? Doesn't this sound miserable? Yes. This is very annoying to play, so if you don't want to do it, I don't blame you. This is very min-max gaming, but this does make sense. And the reason why you play Invoked Nightmare is because you have a lot of synergy going on with your dots, especially with Void Weaver. You do increased damage with Inner Quietus, and then you also have increased tick rate with Quicken Pulse. And then on top of that, you already know, Instilled Doubt as well. And on top of that, the reason why you're going this left tree, you don't really care about Mindbender or Inescapable Torment. The main reason you're going this build is because of Idle Charge, and what this node does is it'll hasten your dot ticks. So it's adding to this effect, basically. And you also have a good uptime on this. In my pits, I had like a 50% uptime on Idle Charge, and you could probably even go higher if you try snapping or proccing Idle Charge with Shadow Word Death with how Shadow Fiend works, which is pressing Shadow Word Death on low HP mobs. And as you can see on the tooltip bar, Void Wraith also counts. So after every single Entrophic Rift window, you will get an Idol of your Charge. Top of that, you also get Idol of your Charge, or your Charge from Idols as well. Or not Idols, your Tentacle Slams, my bad. Basically, this build is a giant, I'd say, synergy. And when I asked someone to sim it, Burrito, he's from Might. He's a very good Shadow Priest, and he's also a sim god. He says this build is 3.5% better than normal Void Weaver, which would be Misery with Insidious Ire. And I did play with it for the past few days, and I'm still playing it to this day, and I can confirm it is better. So these are the sims that Burrito provided. This is why this guide kind of took a hot minute to release ever since the build come out. Alright. So, as we can see here, the number one build is a little different. So it's not running Idle v Charge, it's just running these three talents, but I think the reason for this is because the sim is expecting you to go stand mostly still and go pack by pack, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt, but this is Archon, just normal Mythic plus Archon with Maddening Touch and Sustained Potency, the normal build for M+. As you can see, it's quite a big difference. This is the next one. Again, not that very large of a difference if you run Idle Ire with Cthulhu, but again, my gripe is what happens if you're constantly chain pulling and constantly on the move. So again, taking this with a grain of salt. And then, once again, another dungeon where Archon is just behind this by like 4k DPS. The next one, same thing, on a quite larger scale this time though. Again, taking this with a grain of salt. You are more than welcome to try this build. The basic TLDR though is that Invoked Nightmare is extremely strong with Void Weaver. And then this is just simming normal Void Weaver. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a diff. And by normal Void Weaver, I mean just pretty much playing Misery with Ire. So yeah, those are the sims. So let me go to this. This is the key I done it with. Usually I do like 180k average, and I gained about up to 200k. I know Nahi. I hopefully I said it right this time. He's been doing 220k. He's been blasting with it. I have not been blasting it, so I still need to improve a little bit. Um, but it's definitely more damage. I would only recommend this build in high keystones, specifically like maybe 18s to 20 plus. Um, and this is what the damage breakdown usually typically is just Shadow Word Pain up top with your Psychic Link number 2, and then Shadowy Apparitions number 3. And to give you a little showcase, this is the uptime on Idol of Yasharj. It's a 50% uptime on this 21 pit that I did, and then this is a 20 Skyreach I did with it, and this is a 53% uptime. It's quite impressive, because this also accounts for downtime, by the way. It's a lot of uptime for just hastening your dots. So this build is essentially just powerhousing your dots, which is, I think, is kind of fun. Even though you have to min-max Shadow Word Pain, and it can be hard, and I say that this is not an easy build to play with. I will just be completely honest about that. I don't blame you if you don't want to do it, but it is better. I would probably recommend playing this build in higher keystones. The one dungeon I probably wouldn't do this in is Seat. I think Seat is still an Archon dungeon because of how the third boss functions, and Halo is just a better damage profile for that. But outside of that, I think you're probably going to see a lot more Shadow Priest playing this build. It is extremely good at the moment, how this build is going to work. We're just going to be Shadow Word Painting as our tank is gathering. We also should be pressing Fade as we're gathering. So we're just going to spam Shadow Word Pain. And when the mobs are fully gathered is when we start Tentacle Slamming. We don't... Unfortunately, it's very hard to get every single mob with Shadow Word Pain, so we're just going to worry about getting our cooldowns out first before we do anything. So once this Rift window is going to end, we're going to treat Shadow Word Pain as a filler instead of Mind Flay. So the Rift window should end here, and now I should be looking to Shadow Word Pain some mobs, because we're done with our cooldowns. As you see, I'm looking, still looking, and this is pretty much it. It's definitely something to get used to. I would definitely practice and practice and practice. But as I said, this is just like a 3.5% difference. You can opt to not do this. You could just play Misery if you wanted to. It's not the end of the world. I think Keystones, for the most part, is just living, essentially. I don't think damage is always going to be make or break. And for the finale of this build, when to use this, I would maybe consider it in 18s. I think that's like the middle ground of where this could be good. But I am under the impression of if you use this build on like 17s or lower, I think you're going to have a really bad time, because the reason why this build thrives on high keystones is because you have a longer time to set up. Mobs just don't instantly get nuked. I would only use this build at 19s to 21 plus. I would maybe consider it in 18s, because I think that's like the good middle ground to where it's possible, but you do have a chance of running where you have some good DPS players or classes that you're playing with that just nuke everything. Thanks for watching. The usual like and subscribe. If you want to ask me questions or yammer about anything, I might even play some extra games. I'm thinking about Saturday of doing a spooky stream. Giving a shout out to Burrito for the Sims as well. Thank you for that, my guy. And anyways, goodbye.